All right, buckle up for a deep dive into some classic Judge Judy, huh? We're talking family feuds, money messes, the whole shebang. 3 cases today, each one wilder than the last. Think real estate gone wrong, sibling rivalry turned nuclear, even parents taking their own kid to court.
Yeah, these cases, they might seem like personal drama, but they really highlight how the legal system tackles those he said, she said situations. Stuff that honestly could happen to anyone, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who hasn't been in a situation where, like, proof made all the difference? Speaking of which, our first case throws us into the wild world of house flipping. Rosa, a realtor, is suing Garrett, a videographer, claiming he bailed on a project. But Garrett's pushing back hard, says she was a nightmare client and actually had access to all his footage the whole time. What's the legal take on this?
Well, right away, we're in he said, she said territory, right? And that means proof, evidence becomes super crucial. Small claims court, it's not about like beyond a reasonable doubt. It's about who tells the more believable story, backed up by, well, receipts.
Receipts? I love that. So who's got to bring those receipts? The person making the accusation or the person defending themselves?
Usually it's on the person making the claim. In this case, Rosa, she's got to convince the judge that her version of events is, well, more likely true than not. That's where contracts, invoices, emails, even texts, they all become puzzle pieces.
Okay, so puzzle pieces in the house flipping feud. Rose is suing Garrett for nearly $2,000, $1,919 to be exact, says she never laid eyes on any of his footage.
And here's where things get spicy. Rosa, she uploaded a walkthrough video of the flipped house, shot by her son, to a shared Google Drive. Guess where all of Garrett's videos were?
No way. That same Google Drive. So her whole never saw the footage argument kind of goes out the window, huh?
Pretty much. Judge Judy zeroed in on that discrepancy, and let me tell you, it did not help Rosa's case. It shows how a seemingly small detail can completely unravel a story.
And to add fuel to the fire, Rosa flipped that house for a massive profit. Sold it for $350,000 more than she bought it.
See, that's a detail Judge Judy would definitely notice. Makes you wonder if maybe Rosa had a touch of buyer's remorse, you know? Especially seeing that huge profit. She might have thought, maybe that video isn't worth the cost anymore.
Right. Maybe she thought she could just, like, skip out on paying.
Yeah.
So what was the verdict in this real estate rumble?
Judge Judy, no nonsense as always, found Rosa's claims, well, unbelievable. The evidence, especially that Google Drive slip-up, totally contradicted her story. Garrett won, case dismissed.
Wow, Rosa walked away empty-handed. Honesty, the best policy, especially when Judge Judy's watching, right? But this case, it does raise a question. How much does the judge's opinion of someone's honesty actually matter in small claims court?
Oh, it's huge. Judges are supposed to be impartial, based decisions on evidence, but human judgment, it plays a role. If a judge thinks someone's being shifty, it'll impact their ruling for sure.
So it's not just about the facts, it's about how you present yourself, your story. Credibility is key.
Exactly. Even if you're technically right, if your story seems iffy, inconsistent, it can hurt you.
Perception matters, especially in court. All right, on to case number 2. And this one's a family affair. Buckle up, because it gets messy. Okay, so picture this. 2 sisters, Lucinda and Tiffany, end up in Judge Judy's courtroom. Tiffany moved in with Lucinda, agreed to pay $400 a month rent. Seems simple enough, right?
You'd think so, but family and money, man, that's a recipe for complications. Informal agreements, things get hazy, feelings get hurt, boom, you're in court.
And things definitely blew up. Lucinda says Tiffany's behind on rent, owes her a whopping $2,000, $2,000. But wait, there's more. Damaged furniture, walls, blinds, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, the classic damage battle. Landlord-tenant disputes, it's always a mess. But add family drama, oof, even worse. Proving who did what, how bad it is, it's tricky, especially if you don't have, like, pictures from before.
Right, and Tiffany's got her own side of the story, naturally. Says Lucinda's exaggerating the damage, plus she chipped in for groceries and stuff. Conflicting stories, what else is new?
Happens all the time. Shows you why clear communication is so important. And written agreements, even with family, you know? When everyone's on the same page from the start, less chance for resentment to build.
Couldn't agree more. But this sister showdown, it takes a dark turn. Lucinda accuses Tiffany of neglecting her kids, even calls Child Protective Services CPS. That's a whole other level.
No kidding. Serious ethical, legal questions there. Using CPS as a weapon, it's messed up. Protecting kids is vital, but false reports, they can wreck families.
And even the investigation itself, super stressful, disruptive, no matter what. So what happened with the CPS thing here?
Well, it turns out Tiffany's got a history with CPS. Positive drug tests while she was supposed to be caring for her kids, even driving under the influence with them in the car. Yikes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so even though Lucinda might have been using the CPS report to her advantage, Tiffany's past makes it kind of justified.
That seems to be Judge Judy's take. She saw through Lucinda's tactics, but ultimately dismissed the false report claim. Tiffany's history, it unfortunately gave weight to Lucinda's worries, even if the specific incident wasn't proven.
Complicated, man. Family, loyalty, protecting kids, the state getting involved. So much to think about. What's the big takeaway here?
I'd say it's a reminder that, well, your past can come back to bite you. Even if Tiffany had dealt with her issues, the record was there. It mattered. And it's a cautionary tale, too. Using systems like CPS for revenge, it's damaging, especially within families.
Absolutely. All right, ready for our final case. This one's a head-scratcher. A young guy, Levi, suing his own parents over a truck repair. And get this, they countersue over a dog. Family Feud Central, right here in Judge Judy's courtroom.
It's a perfect example of what happens when family and business mix, especially when things aren't clear. No contracts, just assumptions. It's asking for trouble. And this one, oh boy, it delivers.
All right, let's break this down. Levi Shaw versus his parents, Davey and Nathan Celestine. What was the deal with this truck in the first place?
So Levi wants to get into trucking, right? Can't afford a new rig, but his parents have this old 18-wheeler that needs work. They agree. Levi fixes it up, uses it for his business. Everyone wins.
Sounds good on paper. What went wrong?
Well, those informal agreements, they rely on trust, understanding. But as we've seen, those can break down fast, especially when costs go up or interpretations differ.
So did the repairs cost way more than Levi thought? Is that what started this whole mess?
Bingo. At first, Levi figures, okay, $4,000, no problem. But as the mechanic digs in, more problems. The price keeps going up. Over $10,000? Ouch. That's a lot for someone just starting out.
No kidding. So Levi's pouring his savings into this truck. He's got to be having second thoughts. What does he do?
He goes to his parents with a new proposition. Says, look, if I'm putting this much money into this truck, I want to own it. Makes sense, right?
Totally. You invest that much, you want some security. How do the parents react?
His mom, Davey, seemed to get it. Agreed to talk to his dad, Nathan, he's the one who actually owns the truck. Seemed like things were moving in the right direction. Then, well, not so much.
Uh-oh. Did the parents back out? Change their minds?
According to Levi, yeah. He says his dad verbally agreed to give him the truck, since he was paying for all these repairs, basically a new deal.
Oh.
But once the truck's fixed up, ready to go, parents refuse to hand over the title.
Right, seriously. They got a free truck renovation out of their son and then just, pulled the rug out. Did they even try to explain themselves?
Oh, they tried. In court, Levi's dad denied ever agreeing to the truck transfer. Said he had other kids to think about, giving the truck to Levi would be unfair to them.
Come on. His other kids didn't put thousands of dollars into fixing that truck. Weak excuse.
Exactly. And Judge Judy wasn't buying it either. She saw Levi was in a tough spot, trusting his parents, and they were benefiting from his hard work while breaking their promise. Not cool.
Talk about taking advantage of your kid.
Mm-hmm.
So what did Judge Judy do? Did Levi get the truck?
He did. Judge Judy ruled in his favor, told the parents to hand over the title. She even called them out for their behavior, being disrespectful in court, taking advantage of Levi. Go, Judge Judy.
Awesome. What about that dog? The one that parents were countersuing for.
Oh, they tried to bring that up. Said Levi owed them money for an English bulldog, but Judge Judy shut it down. She was so done with their antics.
Serves them right, trying to play games in court.
Yeah.
Glad Levi got some justice.
But this whole thing, it really shows you clear communication is key, even with family. Written agreements, protect yourself. Don't just rely on promises or assumptions.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've seen real estate drama, sibling rivalry, parent-child showdowns, all ending up in Judge Judy's courtroom. What's next?
All right, last case, but definitely not least. This time, we're diving into the world of workplace drama. Jeremy, a plumber, is taking his ex-boss, Chad, to court. Says Chad owes him wages, and to make things even spicier, slapped him with a bogus restraining order.
Ooh, this one gets into some tricky areas. Employment law, right? Workers' rights versus, preventing people from abusing legal tools like restraining orders.
So let's start with the basics. What's Jeremy's story about the unpaid wages?
Jeremy says he worked for Chad for a few weeks, was promised $840 for 3 days of work, but Chad never paid him for the last 3 days. Pretty straightforward wage theft situation, you'd think.
Yeah, sounds like it. But I'm guessing Chad's got his own version of events.
Oh, absolutely. Chad claims Jeremy was never actually his employee, says he was an independent contractor, says he always classifies his workers that way, sometimes pays by check, sometimes cash, keeps it flexible.
Ah, the old independent contractor defense.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. Way for employers to, avoid certain responsibilities, taxes, benefits, that kind of thing. But does that fly in court? Is it just about what the employer calls the worker, or is there more to it?
Judges, they tend to look deeper, It's about the relationship, the control, who provides the tools, how independent the worker really is. Labels aren't everything.
So, did Jeremy have any proof to back up his claim that he was an employee, not a contractor?
He said Chad would send him job details by email to a work phone that Chad provided, kept track of his hours too, but get this, Chad took the phone back when he fired Jeremy. So, no phone, no solid proof of those hours worked.
Oof. That's tough. Makes you realize, got to keep your own records. Always. But what about the restraining order? How'd that get mixed up in all this?
Well, Jeremy admits after he got fired, he called Chad a bunch, demanding his money. Says he might have gotten a little heated, but never went to Chad's house, never intended to harm him.
But even threats over the phone, those can be enough for a restraining order, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Chad says those calls weren't just heated, they were scary. He actually played a voicemail in court, Jeremy saying, "Don't play with me, I'll show up at your house."
Uh-oh. Even if Jeremy didn't mean it literally, it's not something you want to hear from someone you're having a dispute with.
Nope. Judge Judy was very clear about that. Said Chad had every right to feel threatened. The voicemail alone was enough to justify the restraining order. Didn't matter if Jeremy actually followed through or not.
So basically, Jeremy trying to get his wages back fired and actually helped Chad's case to the restraining order. Did Jeremy get anything out of this whole mess?
Well, remember, Chad admitted he owed Jeremy for at least one day of work. Said Jeremy messed up a job, Chad had to fix it himself.
Right. So even though Judge Judy wasn't totally convinced Jeremy was an employee, she did say Chad owed him for that one day. How much did he end up getting?
Judge Judy ruled Chad had to pay Jeremy $210 for that day. Not the full amount, but hey, something's better than nothing.
A partial win, but definitely a lesson learned. Choose your words carefully, folks, especially when it comes to legal stuff. And keep good records. Hours worked, agreements, anything important. Don't just rely on someone's word.
Solid advice. This case shows, even if you think you're in the right, how you act, how you present yourself, it matters. Big time.
All right, that wraps up our deep dive into Judge Judy's world. Real estate battles, family feuds, workplace drama, we've seen it all. And the big takeaways: communication is key, clear agreements are crucial, and knowing your rights, your responsibilities, that can make all the difference.
Exactly. These cases, they show how fast things can go south when expectations are fuzzy and emotions get out of control. A little knowledge, a little preparation, it goes a long way.
Truth. And as the wise Judge Judy often says, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Until next time, everyone.